Hello everyone, welcome to Off the Cuff, where the headlines come to life, and we have in the studio Mr. Hameed Dakroub, or should I say Master Hameed Dakroub. He's a 5th degree black belt, and he also brought home the silver medal at the 2017 U.S. Tae Kwon Do World Class National Championships that were held here in Metro Detroit. So what an honor to have you here. So you're number 2 in the country.
Yes,
how exciting is that?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, it was great to compete in my hometown. The tournament was held here for the first time in 9 years. And ironically, I wasn't going to compete at this year's national championships because I felt that I needed to, train a little bit more than I was doing because of everything else going on in my life.
Well, you're a lawyer too. You're
yes,
a
correct.
estate planning lawyer,
correct,
so that
correct.
takes time.
It does, and so. But when I found out that it was in my backyard, how could I not compete and represent the state of Michigan in my hometown? So
absolutely. So that was a great decision that you made,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you ranked number 2
correct,
in the country.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about Tae Kwon Do. I mean, there's all these different
Sure.
black belts and different
martial arts.
Thank you, martial arts
correct, yeah.
that are out there. So what is Tae Kwon Do, and how does it differ from the other
so
martial arts?
Tae Kwon Do, like many martial arts, deals a lot with the mind and the body together, right?
Yes, yes.
And it's an Olympic sport, and that's something that kind of separates it from other martial arts. That's why it's the most popular martial arts worldwide, because it's an Olympic sport. Now, we do wear protective gear, but the protective gear during our matches is to score points. And because it's an Olympic sport, there has to be a little bit of regulation. And so the protective gear, to score points in a Tae Kwon Do match, you either kick to the body or punch to the body or kick to the face. There are no punches to the face though, but there are kicks to the face. So some people laugh at that a little bit because obviously the strength of a kick is stronger than the strength of a punch.
So there's really no place that's off limits?
There are places off limits, like below the waist you cannot kick, but everything else is pretty much fair game. But the main scoring areas are the head area, the face, and the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's really it's a great thing to learn for self-defense too, for women as well.
Definitely.
And you watch these shows, about karate and especially the martial arts in general, and they always talk about the mind and the body, and
Sure.
it's really a sense of discipline.
Definitely.
As well. So in your experience, how has that translated in your lifestyle and really disciplining and focusing yourself?
I mean, that's a great point that you bring up, because one of the things that has allowed me to accomplish some of the things that I'm currently doing or have done in the past is because of Tae Kwon Do. Because Tae Kwon Do allows me, or has taught me, self-respect and discipline. And the discipline, in order to stay mentally focused, in order to continue to stay motivated, to not let my emotions get the best of me, and to stay on track in everything that I try to pursue, and to stay disciplined in everything that I do. So it's definitely played a large role in my outside Tae Kwon Do life, for sure.
That's amazing. I've always been intrigued by the martial arts. You actually started when you were 5 years old.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, I started when I was 5. Actually, I have to give the credit to my father. My father, Hameed Dakroub, actually put me in the martial arts when I was 5 years old. I mean, obviously, my mother was a huge supporter as well, too. And so I started when I was 5. Actually, a little story is I wasn't a huge fan of the sport my whole life.
And I know your dad, so that did not make a difference.
Yeah. And so, but my parents actually, my mom was a huge, my mom would come to all my tournaments. And I mean, my dad would come to as many as he could as well too. And they continue to push me, and they say, you know what, you've done some things in the sport, and I've won some tournaments when I was younger that allowed me, or that kind of showed them like, hey, although you don't really have a passion for it yet.
You're good at it.
You're somewhat good at it, so we're gonna continue to push you to continue to do it. And it wasn't until I was 17 years old when I actually decided that I was like, you know what, I found this passion for it, and then I began training like harder.
Okay, so at the age of 12, you were #1 ranked fighter in the U.S. That
Correct.
Didn't give you the passion yet.
You know what? I'm super competitive, and so even if it's not something that I am maybe 100% passionate about, if you threw me inside the ring, I did not want to lose, and so I would do the best that I can to win. And so I'm competitive in that sense. And so 2002 was really big for me, and to win Junior Olympics and become a Junior Olympic champion, that was great. That was awesome.
So at the age of 17, what clicked in your mind and said, you know what, this is something I like and I'm good at, and I'm going to continue and compete? All I got, basically. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. So I competed at a national tournament, and where was this tournament? Detroit, because it was in 2008. So from 2008 all the way until 2017, it was not in Detroit between those years. And then I did really well. And then I told myself, I was like, you know what? You're not even really putting in the effort that a lot of these competitors put in on a daily basis to make it pretty far. Yet you're still competing with them, and you're still doing pretty well. It was kind of like a
revelation.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? You could be doing something pretty special. And so from that moment on is when I started to really get into it a little bit more. And obviously my coach, Master Ali Kubaisi, has continued to push me ever since I was younger, and has allowed me to be in this position today.
So you've won a lot of different tournaments, 2011 regional Taekwondo champion, 2008 to 2016 Midwest Taekwondo champion, 2017, which is the huge one, right? World-class national silver medalist, #2 in the country. What does that mean to you? I mean, what is that particular championship, and how does that, I mean, #2 in the country, but how does that catapult you forward in continuing your Taekwondo activities and career? It is a career, basically. I mean, it's
pretty much
#2 career for you.
Yeah. It's something where I've taken it as a hobby, but it's a little bit more than a hobby because of the position that I'm in. And it's an honor to be among the best fighters in the U.S. I think it's been a culmination of 21 years of hard work in the sport to see results throughout my career. And then I did have ups, I did have downs, and then to finally do this while I'm a full-time attorney, it's a big honor. And I don't take it for granted, that's for sure. And so I'm definitely appreciative of the position that I'm in. And I can't take the credit myself, so I have to credit my parents, my sister, my coaches, and my friends, and all those who supported me. So it's a team effort. So it's definitely an honor.
Absolutely. Are you going to show us some moves?
Sure.
All right. Let's do this.
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Me too.
Great.
Okay, so Hameed, show us some of those championship moves you got.
Sounds good. All right, so one of the things that Taekwondo promotes is self-respect between you and your opponent. So before we start any competition or any match, we have to bow and pay our respects to the opponent.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to get in a tension stance.
Okay.
And then we're going to bow, and then we're going to get up.
All right.
And so that's the first thing we do before we start any match.
Okay, great.
Now, one of the basic kicks that Taekwondo is known for is the front kick. And so the front kick, it's a simple kick, but it's very utilized in the sport during combat and during the match. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take your right leg and put it in front.
Okay.
You're going to put your right arm low, and you're going to put your left arm a little higher.
Okay.
And you're going to close the fist, right?
Okay.
And so what we're going to do is before we kick forward, we're going to turn our shoulders slightly forward, and we're going to take the back leg, and we're going to lift the knee. We're going to kick, bring it back, and set it back down. And so when we do it quickly, on the count of 3, we're going to do it quickly and do the front kick forward. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Oops.
All right.
One more time.
Let's do it one more time.
Okay,
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay, and
all
skirt,
right, all right. And so the next kick we're going to do
Bob, you're going to be in trouble. He's got to sign up.
Is the outside-inside crescent kick. So an outside-inside crescent kick is mainly a kick that goes to the head. And you typically do that when you're close to your opponent in a clinching position. That's usually, I mean, it's used more often throughout the fight, but that's typically what it's used for.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna get in the same stance, right?
Okay.
And so we're gonna have our right arm down, back arm up to
Okay.
protect ourselves, and we're gonna take the back leg, the left leg, and we're gonna take it, and we're gonna take
Swing it over.
Yeah, swing it over, and we're gonna bring it back down.
Okay.
So, and then you're gonna kick. This one's a little higher, but for purposes of demonstration, why don't we just do it a little bit lower? Okay. And so you could do it either way. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, that was great. Good job.
All right.
So those are some of the basic kicks in Taekwondo that we do during our matches.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I love it. Absolutely great.
You did great. You're a natural.
Thank you. That was fun. Pretty fancy moves. I think I did quite well.
You did great. You
Thank
did great.
you.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Thank you so much. So now that you're number 2 in the country with these phenomenal moves and a great teacher, you are going to the Olympic Training Center to do what now? What's the next step in this?
So I had, I believe it was like 25 people in my division from all over the U.S. compete at this tournament, and only the top 3 advanced to U.S. national team trials. And at U.S. national team trials, it's held usually at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. And what you do is you have a fight-off between you, the top 3 fighters and the current national team member in that weight class, and whoever's wins the fight-off essentially gets the national team spot. And if you get the national team spot, then you automatically go to World Championships. And then you get invited to a lot of closed events, international events to represent the United States, and that's obviously a tremendous honor to do.
Sure,
yeah,
that sounds so exciting.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great.
So it is an Olympic sport, right?
Correct.
So what would you have to do to compete in the Olympics?
Well, first and foremost, it starts by dedicating practically your life to it, right? And so I probably realistically would have to, cut down on my legal career a little bit and dedicate most of my time to this, because most people, when they reach a position as one of the top fighters in the country, they're dedicating about 3 to 5 hours of training every single day, and in my position, I'd love to, I hope to dedicate that many hours, but I'm realistically, it's a little difficult for me with my work schedule and my community involvement to do that. But I'm just thankful to be in this position, and look forward to the event and the tournament. I'm going to give it my best.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you're going to be phenomenal. Well, the other side of this is you are an attorney, and you concentrate on estate planning and probate and what have you. So let's talk a little bit about that, because that is something that I think is really, really important for people to know. So in estate planning, what is your focus? I mean, you do
wills, trusts, and powers of attorneys. Those are really the top 3 most important and primary focus of estate planning. I think a lot of us nowadays don't like the concept of having to plan for the future when we are
right.
Yeah,
now in the present.
Now
don't want to think about those kinds of things.
They don't want to think about those things.
Sure, they're sensitive.
It's a very
issues.
sensitive topic, and you have to be mindful of that, because it's extremely important to plan for those things. Because I've been involved as an attorney and as a bystander to many situations to where people who don't actually prepare or do proper estate planning, unfortunately, it becomes a mess, and it becomes a mess within the families as well too. And you just don't like to see that. So my best advice is to prepare. I mean, you get peace of mind, and what more can you ask for than preparing the right way and getting that peace of mind, knowing that you protected yourself and protected your family from anything that could happen. And so it's always something it's always going to benefit you, and it's never going to hurt you.
Absolutely. So what's the difference between a will and a living will?
Okay,
is there any difference?
So I mean, really, it's more towards, they're kind of interchangeable in the sense that it's more like wills and trusts, right? And so when people talk about estate planning and those types of documents, a trust essentially is going to avoid probate court for you, whereas a will is not going to avoid probate court for you. So if you do have a will, your will becomes a public document to the probate court system, and
so you still go through that process.
So you still go through that process. Many people think it's a misconception. They feel like a will doesn't or it does avoid probate court, but in fact it does not. However, a trust,
I didn't know that.
yeah, and if a trust, if it's actually properly funded and you retitle your assets, and our firm allows or helps our clients do that for them, and you fund your trust properly, all your assets are into the trust, and then your trust actually avoids probate court. That's the whole point of it. Is the whole trust would allow the probate court process to essentially be eliminated. Correct.
And that's usually a lot better of an
Correct.
experience than having to deal with
Exactly.
So if somebody actually had a will, that's really not set in stone. You still have to go through the legal process.
Sure, you still have to go through the probate court process under the court supervision, whereas in a trust you can administer the estate privately. Nobody will know what's inside your documents, and you could do it on your own. But you can also consult with an attorney as well during trust administration. And one of the things that I explain to a lot of my clients are that when you have a will in place, if you, for example, you might have a child who requires maybe special needs, and they're on government benefits, and if, God forbid, something were to happen to you and you were to pass away, they would receive that money outright, and that might disqualify them for those benefits that they are receiving. But if you had a trust, you could do a special needs trust and keep those assets in a trust for the benefit of that child's lifetime while they remain on those government benefits. And so it allows, there's a lot of very, very, very beneficial aspects to a trust. I mean, it gives you creditor protection. If you have minor children, it helps you because you can actually keep those trust assets and distribute them throughout the minor child's life or throughout even a grown adult's life if you want. And so there's a lot of benefits to trust. You could do tax planning as well too.
Wow, that's a lot of information I didn't even know. That's great information. You also do bankruptcy within this current economy. Have you seen a lot of that lately, or has it dissipated a little bit, or is it still on the rise?
You know what? It's always on the rise. I don't think that that's something that's always going to go away, unfortunately. But I definitely practice bankruptcy, and I'm associated with a firm that actually really specializes in this area as well too. So we do a lot of collaborations on bankruptcy cases, and so it's very, very, very it's heartwarming to help individuals who are in need, and we take a lot of pride in doing so, and so we take our jobs very seriously when it comes to that.
So if somebody goes into bankruptcy, how long does it take for them to actually recoup? Is it like a certain amount of time where your credit is damaged and you can't really buy anything? I mean, how does that work?
So actually, that's kind of a misconception, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm filing for bankruptcy, my credit's, it's going to go really, really low. That's actually not true. The reason why your credit is maybe where it's at this point is because of all the things that led up to you filing for bankruptcy. And the bankruptcy, what it's going to do, it's going to give you a fresh start. You can actually take your discharge papers and take it to a car dealership, and you can get a vehicle right then and there. Credit card companies will actually begin soliciting you for to be part of their membership, because you have a fresh slate, and then you cannot file bankruptcy, at least another Chapter 7, for 8 years afterwards.
Okay.
So they know that if in fact you do owe them money, they can recoup that money from you. Correct.
That's amazing. That's good information to have. But
definitely,
I want to wrap back into the Taekwondo stuff.
All right.
Are you going to show me some more moves?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's go for it.
All right. I love this. Let's look at some more moves here. Okay, so you're going to show us a few more moves.
Sure, because Taekwondo, it's a sport that mainly uses the legs, right? And athletes use the legs 70% of the time and punches 30% of the time. I mean, I know that you're not really in typical Taekwondo uniform.
You mean heels don't work for this?
Unfortunately, not in the dojo, but here we'll have to do with it, right? So what we're gonna do, awesome. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna work on the punch. It's gonna be a punch. The whole point of this punch is to stop the progression of your opponent when they're attacking with a kick, for example, right? So what you're gonna do...
self-defense, too.
Exactly, right? And then you can score with this technique. It's a little bit of an advanced technique during the match, because you have to watch out for distance and timing, and you have to be careful that the opponent doesn't actually strike you with a kick to your body or to the face, so you have to be careful. So the first thing we're gonna do is to make sure that we have our front hand as a guide hand out, right? So this front hand is gonna be the guide right hand. And what this is going to do is this is going to cancel the opponent's kick. So it's going to cancel the opponent's kick. As the opponent is striking you forward, you're canceling his kick with your arm, and you're stepping in with a punch. And so the important thing also is to keep your body backwards, because you don't want his kick to turn to the stomach, to the head, and if you're coming forward, you might actually get hit in the head, right? So we want to just make sure that you're blocking and then you're striking as well too. So why don't we do it, right? Okay. So we'll have your left leg forward,
do you
right
walk
leg backwards.
into it, or it's already there?
Yeah, it's there, but you're going to step into it.
Okay.
And you're going to punch, right?
Okay.
With the back arm. So we're going to have our arms up. The opponent's going to come in with a kick. We're going to cancel the kick.
Okay.
We're going to cancel the kick, and we're going to strike forward.
Okay. So
ready?
Ready.
1, 2, 3. All right. That was great.
Right.
Good job. Good job. Next technique we're going to do is the same concept, just with the front arm to the opposite end. And what you're going to do is you're going to block with the opposite hand.
Okay, because with the same foot,
exactly.
Right? Okay.
So you're going to step forward with the same foot. If they're coming from this side with a technique on this angle, you're going to block, and you're going to strike forward as well too. Remember, keep your body backwards, keep your head backwards, and you're going to strike forward. So you're going to lunge forward, and you're going to cancel the technique, and you're going to lunge forward. Okay. This one is when the opponent's a little closer to you. In closer combat, that's when you'll use this one.
Okay, so how are my arms?
Okay,
that one
so
again?
your arms, you're going to be the same as the front, as exactly. Okay. Front arm low, back arm up. As the opponent's kick is coming towards you, you're going to cancel it out with the back arm.
Oh, wrong one.
Yeah, opposite one this time. You're going to cancel it out with the back arm, and you're going to step forward with the front arm to punch.
Okay, let's do that one more time.
All right, ready? 1, 2, cancel with the back. Step forward with a punch. All right.
I feel empowered already.
Great job. You did great. Good job.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank
Good work.
you.
So those are the basic techniques in Taekwondo. And some advanced ones as well too. So you did great with the advanced ones too. So
I'm advanced?
Advanced, of course, of course, of course.
That was so much fun. Thank
it was.
you.
It was.
It was great. I learned some advanced moves.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you had fun.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for being on WDHT on Off the Cuff. You are the number 2
ranked fighter in the United States.
Ranked fighter in the United States, in the entire country. So we're very honored to have you.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Hameed.
Awesome. Yes, let's bow out.
All right.
And shake hands.
Great.
Great job.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
And thank you all for joining us on Off the Cuff.